Welcome to this deep dive. We basically take a whole load of information and boil it down to what you actually need to know.
Get right to the good stuff.
Exactly. And today we're tackling, well, it can be tricky territory, can't it?
Yeah.
Texting in those early stages of dating.
Oh yeah, a minefield for some?
Right. So our sources are pretty varied. We've got wikiHow guides on keeping someone interested, figuring out if they like you back over text.
Practical stuff.
Very practical. Then there's expert advice, dating coaches talking about first messages on apps, that kind of thing.
Crucial.
And we've even dipped into Reddit forums, looking at real experiences people have shared about online dating, the good, the bad, and the slightly confusing.
Always illuminating, Reddit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So our mission here is simple: give you actionable tips, how to spark that initial interest with texts, but also how to actually use texting to move towards, meeting up in real life.
Not just endless texting.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get into it.
So what jumps out immediately, really across the board, is how vital that first impression is. Whether it's that very first message on Hinge or Tinder, or just the first few texts back and forth. The consensus is, look, you don't have long to grab their attention.
Right, that whole thin slicing idea, Dr. Jess Carbino mentioned that. We make judgments really fast.
Exactly. Snap judgments based on minimal info. So those initial digital words carry, a lot of weight.
And Kat Hoggard-Wagley, the therapist, she added that people are often wary, right? Because of past bad experiences.
Yeah, people are cautious. So those first maybe 1 to 3 sentences, they have to be good. They're critical.
So the strategy isn't about writing a novel or creating this perfect online character.
No, not at all. It's more about being concise, engaging, and also pretty clear about what you're hoping for.
Hoggard-Wagley specifically said, focus on showing you're interested in actually meeting up.
Okay.
Pretty early on.
Yes. This isn't about collecting pen pals.
Yeah. There was a Reddit user, Amazing Reality 2980, who was really strong on this, said aim for a date within a week.
A week, yeah. And definitely don't let it just drift into months of texting back and forth.
That's the danger zone.
Because, and this seems really key, texting for ages without meeting. It can kill the buzz, can't it?
Totally. It deflates the momentum. And worse, you can build up this false sense of connection.
Right, this idea of who they are in your head.
Exactly. And then you meet, and it's awkward.
Yeah.
Or just not what you expected at all.
The Reddit threads were full of those pen pal stories.
Oh, tons of them. Conversations that just stay digital, go nowhere, and then fizzle out, leaves people feeling, frustrated.
Like they wasted their time.
Pretty much. So the experts, they agree. The main point of those early texts should be getting things offline.
Into the real world.
Yep. Hoggard-Wagley even put a number on it. Try to establish you want to meet up within about 3 text exchanges.
3? Wow. Okay, that's quick.
It is, but it sets the intention.
Okay, so you matched. You sent that first message, hopefully not just, hi. Now what? How do you keep it going? Keep it interesting.
Right. And the wikiHow sources had some really solid practical bits here.
Yeah, like avoiding hi. Definitely avoid just hi.
Please. The suggestion is open-ended questions straight away. Get a proper back and forth going.
So not just, how was your day?
Yeah?
But maybe?
Maybe something like, what's one thing you've always wanted to try? Or even, hey, how's your Tuesday going? Doing anything more exciting than spreadsheets? Add some context.
Gotcha. Makes it less generic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because open-ended questions, they just work better. They invite more than a yes or no. They get the other person talking, sharing a bit.
Turns it into an actual conversation.
Precisely. Stops those dead-end one-word replies that just, kill the vibe.
And wikiHow also mentioned giving compliments, but focused on personality.
Yeah, this is a good one. Focus on their character, their sense of humor, maybe their taste in music mentioned on their profile, their intelligence, not just, you're hot.
Right. That can feel a bit much, maybe, early on.
Yeah, can come across as superficial, yeah. Examples they gave were things like, you seem like you have a really fun sense of humor, or I was impressed by what you said about topic from profile. Shows you actually read it.
Okay, so it's not just asking questions, it's showing you're actually listening, or, reading.
Absolutely. Following up is key. If she mentioned, say, a concert she was going to.
Ask her how it was later.
Exactly. Shows you remembered, shows you're interested. Little things like that matter.
What about sharing stuff yourself?
Yeah, telling brief, cool stories about your day. Nothing too long, but gives her a glimpse. And asking slightly deeper questions, too.
Like about?
Maybe childhood stuff, goals, what drives them. But, read the room. Don't get too heavy too fast.
Right. And I like the inside joke idea.
Me too. If you've had even a brief shared moment, Referencing it can build that connection, that us feeling.
Makes it feel more personal. What else?
Starting fun, light debates. Like pineapple on pizza, the classic.
Controversial, but lighthearted.
Exactly. Or sharing photos of what you're doing at a game, trying a new cafe. Gives them your perspective.
See your world a bit.
Yeah, the main thing really is just avoid those one-word answers yourself. Show some effort.
Okay, shifting gears slightly to the dating app experts. Lisa Shield had some specific tips for apps.
Right. She really hammered home referencing their profile.
Ask about something specific you saw.
Yes. It proves you're not just spamming the same message to everyone. Shows actual interest.
Makes sense. What else did she suggest?
Playing Would You Rather.
Oh, okay. Like, would you rather travel to the future or the past? That kind of thing.
Exactly. Fun, light, but you learn something about their personality. And again, open-ended questions. Always open-ended questions.
Such as?
Like, what do you love most about your job? Or what's your favorite thing about your hometown? Or even, tell me about your worst ever first date.
Huh. Risky? Maybe, but could be funny.
Could be. She also mentioned being direct about relationship goals if you feel comfortable doing that early.
And asking deeper questions, too.
Yeah, potentially. Like, what's been a really meaningful experience in your life? Or what's your dream life look like? Again, gauge the vibe.
And crucially, suggest a date.
Yes. Both Shield and Hoggard-Wagley stress this. Don't just text forever. Suggest coffee, mini golf, a specific bar you think they'd like based on their profile.
Be concrete.
Be concrete, exactly.
I can shout out your head even more ideas, right? Like a whole list.
Yeah, tons. Commenting on travel pics, asking about cooking, suggesting activities based on their profile, asking what they're binge watching.
Pets.
Pets are always a good one. Favorite local spots, playful challenges like, bet I could beat you at tennis.
Okay, so lots of options to show personality and see if you click.
Absolutely. It all comes back to showing genuine curiosity, making an effort, seeing the person, not just the picture.
Which connects back to that thin slicing thing. You're giving them better slices to judge from.
Well put. And, you know, the Reddit forums, they also had great suggestions for topics on the actual date, assuming you get there.
Right, because sometimes the conversation needs a little nudge, even in person.
It happens, nerves, whatever. So having a few ideas can't hurt.
The Ring app subreddit had a massive list.
Yeah, really comprehensive, covering work stuff, like why they chase that path, dream jobs.
Passions, what they could talk about for hours.
Weekends ideal versus reality, how they de-stress, travel stories, best and worst, food.
Everyone likes food. Favorite restaurants, dream restaurant concept.
Exactly, even hypotheticals like, stranded on a desert island, what 2 items do you bring?
Fun stuff. And deeper things too.
Yeah, questions about childhood memories, music tastes, maybe even later, relationship beliefs, soulmates, first sight, that kind of thing.
But as some Reddit users warned, don't make it feel like an interrogation.
Oh, definitely not. It's not a checklist. It's just backup.
Yeah.
Ideas to keep things flowing naturally if needed, and maybe save the super deep stuff for date 2 or 3.
Good point. Okay, so you're texting, you're trying these things. How do you know if it's actually working? How can you tell if she likes you back based on the texts?
Ugh, the million-dollar question. WikiHow had a rundown of positive signs.
Like what?
Well, she asks you lots of questions. That shows engagement.
Okay, makes sense.
She replies quickly, most of the time anyway. Uses emojis, lots of them can indicate warmth, playfulness.
Texts you first sometimes, like a good morning text.
Big indicator. Or texting you at weird times, like late at night or when she's clearly busy, suggests you're on her mind.
What about asking for advice?
Yeah, that shows trust and values your opinion. Compliments too, especially, again, on personality or something you did, not just looks.
And building that connection. Using nicknames, maybe. Referencing things you've both talked about.
Exactly. Reminiscing about a funny moment from a previous chat. Sharing details about her own life, her interests, what she likes, what she dislikes.
And then asking you about your stuff related to that.
Yes, it shows she's trying to find common ground, see if you two actually fit.
Okay, those are good signs. What about the flip side? Signs she's maybe not that interested.
Also important to recognize, WikiHow listed things like consistently vague texts, really brief.
One-word answers.
Yep. Or just short replies with no real meat on the bones, leaving you feeling kind of confused about where you stand.
A general coolness, like
Okay.
the vibe just feels distant.
Exactly. If that doesn't warm up over time, it's probably not going to. And then, of course, the ultimate sign, ghosting. just stops replying altogether.
Ouch. Okay. The Reddit forums probably had things to say about mistakes people make too.
Oh, definitely. Common pitfalls. Lying about age came up a lot. Huge red flag.
Instantly kills trust.
Right. And the one-sided conversation thing where someone just talks about themselves and never asks you anything.
Oh, yeah. Deal breaker for many.
One user had a 3 chances rule. If they consistently don't ask questions after 3 messages, maybe just move on.
Interesting rule. What else?
The pen pal trap, again, taking too long to meet. Giving out your number too soon before you feel safe or know if there's real interest. Though opinions varied on timing for that.
Yeah, safety first.
Not being upfront about what you're looking for. Getting way too invested emotionally before you've even met.
Easy to do sometimes.
It is. Also, continuing to text people who give super low effort replies. Why waste your energy?
Generic profiles lacking effort were mentioned too. And not spotting potential scammers.
Yeah, the ones who are weirdly urgent to move off the app immediately. Ignoring red flags like constant cancellations or being evasive.
And taking it all too personally.
That was a good point someone made. Treat it a bit like sales, maybe? There are lots of options for both sides. Don't get hung up on one flaky interaction.
And not being proactive yourself in suggesting a date.
Big one. Don't just wait for them.
Okay, so let's nail down that transition. Moving from text to real life. When's the right time?
The experts generally say, after you've had a few light back and forth messages, when you feel like there's some actual mutual interest brewing.
Not necessarily after 3 exchanges, like Hoggard-Wakely suggested.
That was her specific guideline for establishing intent. The actual ask might come a bit later, but the idea is to signal early you want to meet. Don't wait weeks and weeks.
Okay. And how do you actually ask without sounding awkward?
wikiHow had a few approaches. One is kind of subtle, ask what she's up to. And if it aligns, suggest doing something similar together.
Like, oh, you're going for coffee, mind if I join?
Sort of. Or maybe, oh, I was thinking of checking out that new coffee place sometime this week too. Another way is following her lead. If she mentions a place she likes or an activity.
Suggest doing it together. Oh, you like mini golf, we should go sometime.
Exactly. And if those softer approaches don't work or feel right, just be direct. Hey, I'm really enjoying chatting. Would you be up for grabbing a drink sometime next week?
Clear and confident.
Sometimes that's best.
MeetMindful had some other ideas about getting offline too, right? Like email.
Yeah, that was interesting. Suggesting moving to email to build momentum away from the app distractions. Makes it feel a bit more personal, maybe.
And asking for the number.
They suggested the person with more masculine energy. Their words should maybe take the lead and ask. But if you're not comfortable asking, offering yours is fine too.
Okay. And setting a specific call time.
Yeah, can I call you tomorrow evening between 7 and 8? Builds a little anticipation, avoids phone tag. And that first call, it can feel almost like a second date.
Builds trust. Helps see if you actually click before meeting.
Exactly. You can gauge compatibility better than just through texts. And the Reddit takeaway was pretty blunt too. If someone isn't putting in effort to meet.
Cut your losses.
Pretty much. Don't be afraid to be direct about wanting to meet up.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this all up. What are the key takeaways here for effective texting in early dating?
Well, I think it boils down to a few things. Start strong, but keep it brief initially. Use engaging, open-ended questions.
Show you're actually listening or reading by following up on things they've said.
Right. Active listening, but in text form. Give genuine, personality-focused compliments. Share a bit about yourself, too.
Recognize the signs of interest, the quick replies, the questions back, the emojis. But also, don't ignore the red flags, the vagueness, the low effort.
Definitely. Avoid those common pitfalls like becoming a pen pal, getting too invested too soon, or not asking questions.
And maybe most importantly, use text strategically. Its main job early on is to build enough interest and comfort to
get offline, to transition to a phone call, or ideally an actual date.
Be proactive about suggesting that meetup.
Yes, don't just let conversations drift endlessly.
So fundamentally, texting is a tool. A useful one, no doubt, in today's world.
A very useful tool, but just a tool.
Use it wisely. Use it to spark something, to build a bridge. But remember, the real connection happens, face to face.
Beyond the screen, absolutely.
So a final thought for you listening. Thinking about all this. What's maybe one conversation starter you might try next time? And, perhaps more importantly, what's one step you'll take to be more intentional about moving things from text to the real world? Something to mull over.
Definitely something to think about.